And to respond to all of this is Vice Chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Mark Warner. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you, Laura.
All right, let's start off with those words we just heard from Trump. What do you make of the president trying to pick Iran's next supreme leader? Your thoughts?
Well, if we have to wait for Iran to do unconditional surrender and to allow Mr. Trump to choose Iran's next leader, then I don't know when this war is going to end. I mean, this was a war of choice. There was no imminent threat. I don't shed any tears about the death of the Ayatollah and the Iranian leadership, but we've had 4 different reasons given by the president. Was this about nuclear weapons that were supposedly obliterated a year ago? Was it about ballistic missiles? Was it about the Navy? Was it about the Iranian people rising up? And I just don't, if there's not a clear purpose, and now he's setting these further, I think, goals of unconditional surrender and literally picking the next leader, it sounds to me like we could be in this war for quite some time.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about the timing of all this, and it's interesting that you hear some experts say it's going to last a couple of weeks, but we've heard others say, I mean, it could go on for months. Do you get a sense of timing?
Right. And, you know, we really don't, because one of the things we don't know is how much of Iran's ballistic missile capability is left, because that's both attacking our allies, attacking Israel, and we are running down on the munitions we need to take those ballistic missiles down. We have plenty of bombs to bomb the country, but we don't know how long they're going to last. This is a regime, a brutal regime, been there 47 years, large country, 92 million people. And my concern, Laura, is what happens if the president who asked the Iranian people to rise up, if suddenly you've got 200,000 protesters in Tehran and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, who are bad folks, come out and brutally murder 5,000, 10,000 of them. Will that force us to put troops on the ground, or do we just stand by and let that kind of action take place? There's a lot of unanswered questions that I think the president owes us and the American people, frankly.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because Trump announced that he is considering putting troops on the ground in Iran on Air Force One. So when we heard that, I couldn't wait to talk to you to find out what your response is on that.
Well, on that, our record of putting troops on the ground in the Middle East over the last 30-plus years has not been very good. The last time we intervened in Iran directly was 1953, when CIA was part of a coup there that ultimately led to the Ayatollah. So I think he'd have a hard case to make. And again, this was a president that was going to keep us out of forever wars. And I feel like once we have troops on the ground, we're right back into a situation where it would be awfully hard to extract them afterwards.
Yeah, and talk about timing. You're talking about really dragging that out. And we also saw Iran hit various Gulf countries with weapons. We've been watching that closely, and many people are curious if we're looking at a wider war with all of this.
Well, we could see a much wider war. We could see, frankly, something I would hate the most, which would be a kind of reemergence of the Sunni-Shia split within Islam. I mean, Iran is a Shia nation, kind of the leader of the Shia, but it is also a diverse nation. And if this suddenly spreads across the region, it could be a real challenge, particularly when we're looking at the effects it's already having. Gas prices are up 47 cents a gallon. We're spending about $120 million a day out of Americans' pockets paying for additional gas. We've seen, job losses. We've seen the stock market take a big tumble. I don't think this is good for the American economy, as well, as we basically have almost a frozen situation there around the Straits of Hormuz and all of the oil that comes out of that region. That will have a negative economic hit on our country. And frankly, the one government that is probably getting the most out of this so far is Russia, because price of oil goes up, and I see the administration even relax some of the sanctions on Russian oil. That helps them in their battle against Ukraine, and it also takes the rest of the world's eyes off that conflict.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.